deficit hawks in Congress and conservative activists who railed against President Barack Obama's spending plans called the GOP debt explosion dangerous, immoral and a betrayal. If the Republicans in Congress don't realize that spending control is one of the most important issues that our winning coalition cares about, if they are cavalier about spending decisions, I think we do risk our ability to go to the voters and say it matters to have us in the majority, he said. The conservative backlash against government spending comes at a delicate moment for Trump's Republican Party. Barely a year into his first term, the populist president has shown inconsistent commitment at best to the three planks that have defined his party since the Reagan era: fiscal responsibility, traditional family values and a strong national defense. With the GOP's fiscal responsibility now in question, the party's commitment to family values also continues to suffer as Trump and some high-profile allies struggle under the weight of repeated allegations of sexual misconduct and abuse. Americans for Prosperity, the political arm of the network backed by the conservative billionaires Charles and David Koch, described the recent spending from Trump and Congress a far cry from the so-called fiscal responsibility Americans heard on the campaign trail. Voters may forgive Trump's spending habits because he's new to Washington, but they will not be as kind to Republicans on the midterm ballots, said David McIntosh, president of the Conservative Club for Growth, who lashed out at last week's Republican-backed spending plan as of the swamp, by the swamp and for the swamp. They're not going to give a pass to the Republicans in Congress unless they start doing something to restrain the growth of government, he said. You can't let Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and the spenders in the Senate set the agenda this year, McIntosh continued. Because politically, if they set the agenda, then you're going to see big losses in the House and the Senate. All told, Trump's budget plan sees accumulating deficits of $7.2 trillion over the coming decade. And that's assuming Trump's rosy economic predictions come true and Congress follows through in an election year with politically toxic cuts to social programs, farm subsidies, and Medicare providers. The president's spending outline for the first time acknowledges that the Republican tax overhaul passed last year would add billions to the deficit and not pay for itself, as Trump and his Republican allies asserted. If enacted as proposed, though no presidential budget ever is, the plan would establish an era of $1 trillion plus yearly deficits. Trump's spending plan is like throwing gasoline on a house that's already on fire, said David Biddulph, co-founder of a national organization fighting for a balanced budget amendment. I think it's awful what we're doing to our grandkids. A self-described fiscal conservative, he blamed the political system more than the Republican Party for the latest spending binge. Yet he encouraged Trump to do more to cut spending on Medicare and Social Security, which he left largely untouched in his budget. If not, Biddulph said, I don't know that we'll ever dig our way out of this hole.